So I'm pretty sure you've been in a situation where your seedlings didn't make it. You got a pack of that gas, some serious fire, you popped it, and nothing happened. Everything just died off. Well, why did that happen? Sometimes you need to figure out why to figure out how to move forward. And that's been happening to me a lot recently, just because of the change in the temps and the weather. But this is in fact a super uncommon phenomenon, and I'm pretty sure it's happened to you. So if it has, drop it in the comments down below and let me know. How do you get on with the seedling stage? A lot of people like it, some people love it, and some people absolutely hate it. But for me, it's the most important stage because you gotta get your plants started off right. If your plants don't make it through the seedling stage, they definitely ain't making it to flower fam. So in today's episode, it's all about damping off. Yep, you heard right, damping off. Now that's something that actually affects vegetables, flowers, all sorts of plants. It's not limited to our favorite plants. 99.999% of the time, seedlings affected by damping off rarely survive to produce a vigorous plant. Quite often, a large section or your entire seedling tray is gone. It's just wiped out. Quite often, once your plants grow a little bit bigger, they have mature leaves, a nice developed root system, they're better able to naturally resist that fungus or the mold that causes the damping off. But there's a critical period of growth between planting and maturity when special care needs to be taken to protect those sensitive seedlings. Now I've popped so many strains recently and a lot of them have just died off simply because I have not dialed in my environmental conditions and the damping off occurred. That's something you don't want to occur. And in particular, under certain environmental conditions, damping off pathogens can actually cause root rot and crown root in mature plants as well. So it's not only limited to the seedling stage. Just remember that. Now the three main fungi which actually cause damping off, that's what's responsible for that shit. Rhizoctonia, Fusarium, and Pythotherium. Man, that's a lot of ariums. Now once all those three come together, you pretty much get that occurrence called damping off. Now the first step is actually being able to identify that you're suffering from some damping off issues. If your seedlings fail to emerge from the soil, you probably got a damping off issue. If your cotyledons, those first little circular leaves, or even the seedling stems are a little water soaked, soft, mushy, stuff like that, and if it's not green but it's more of a grayish brown, you may be suffering from some damping off issues. That plant may not make it. One of the main ways that you can tell your plant has been dampened off by the pathogens is when you see that seedling standing up, but the stem looks really thin and it just sort of flops over. It looks like it's not really feeling to wake up this morning. That's literally damping off. You may even notice your seedling looks super normal, but it's just stuck at that phase. It has not grown for the last few days. So you lift it up, you pull it out, and you realize, hey, the roots are all gone. Yep, you're suffering from damping off. Where the roots are absent, stunted, or have a grayish brown sunken spot sort of in there, that's damping off. And for me, the biggest sign that you're suffering from damping off is that fluffy white cobweb. Like, I hate that white cobweb growth. That's the worst. But that shows that your plants are under high humidity and they're suffering, and damping off is likely to occur. Or it's way too far gone and you probably can't save it at that point. So I already told you guys about the pathogens and molds that are actually responsible for damping off. What you guys don't know is that those survive well in soil and plant debris. So they can actually live in the soil or in your medium or in debris that lands on top of the medium. So if you got some old leaves that have literally died and they just sat on top of your plant pot, those can actually pick up pathogens, and that can cause damping off. But most of the time, you're just starting seeds in a small little tray or a small solo cup. And pathogens can actually be introduced into the seedling tray in several ways as well. I want you guys to think pots, tools, potting media. If you've used those things in previous seasons and those not properly cleaned, those can harbor pathogens. I want you guys to think Fusarium spores from your garden, which naturally exists everywhere and it can come into your garden really easily. It can be blown in or carried in through insects like fungus gnats or moving in through splashing irrigation water. And you can also introduce pathogens from dirty hands, dirty fingers, contaminated tools, and even the end of your hose, watering can, sprinkler, or the nozzle from your mister or sprayer that have been in contact with dirt and debris. Once that pathogen is introduced into the seedling tray, the damping off pathogens easily move from plant to plant by growing through the potting media or the shared irrigation water. Personally, I love using little humidity domes to start my seedlings off in. But if you got a few seeds that you started in here and say Jiffy Pod, peat pellets, or whatever, then that pathogen can actually move around in this closed environment. Now, for the most part, garden soil often contains small amounts of the damping off pathogens. If you use gardening soil to fill your seedling trays, you can introduce the damping off pathogens that cause that disease in the warm, wet conditions that are best for seed growth. So what the seeds like, the damping off pathogens also like as well. Warm, wet, moist, humid conditions. Now seeds planted directly into your medium are susceptible to the damping off issue. Or if your environment is just too cool and too wet, super moist, that can result in slow germination and growth. Now speaking of germination, I always have great success when it comes to germination, especially with that Qualiterps germination booster. This stuff just bangs. I actually gotta get a new bottle. This bottle's done, but a little bit goes a long way. I've been getting my beans to germinate within 24 hours. Nice long white tap roots. The shit actually works fantastic. Perfect. Hit the discount code icanthc, give it a try, and you won't regret it, fam. Trust me on that one. Even though you get your seeds to germinate, the damping off issue often occurs in the seedling stage. So that's where you guys need to be mindful. The damping off pathogens thrive in cool, wet conditions. Any condition that slows plant growth will increase damping off. Low light, overwatering, high salts from over-fertilizer, super cool soil temperatures, all these things are associated with increased damping off. So doing things like increasing ventilation or even throwing a seedling mat for a little bit, that can actually help to avoid damping off. Now the seedling mat can be a tricky one. You want to find the right time to pull it off. If you leave it on too long, things can actually go downhill real fast as well. At least that's just what I found in my experience. But aside from air circulation, lower humidity, and seedling mats, there are a lot of other things you guys can do to avoid that damping off issue. Because like I said, that can pop up real easy and kick you out of the game before you even popped your favorite fire. And speaking of fire, guys, the iCan VIP Bean Club is popping. We got tons of fire going out to all VIPs. Mailboxes are burning down everywhere, guys. So definitely join up with the iCanFAM on Patreon. Huge shout out to everyone that support, man. If you aren't supporting, you're missing out. Like I always say, iCan is not monetized, so you guys' support really helps to keep the channel going and helps us to create more content, man. So really appreciate you guys. When you get your fire, you want to make sure the shit doesn't dampen off. And like I said, there are a few extra things that you guys can do just to make sure that you don't run into that issue. Keep things clean, fam. Be a clean motherfucker. Don't be a dirty, nasty motherfucker. Be a clean motherfucker. Sterilize all your plant pots. Be in the habit of washing things out, sterilizing it. You can use a bleach solution or a rub and alcohol solution. You can get creative with it. Google it, figure it out, and just sterilize it. A lot of times people like to reuse soil. I have no problem with that. I actually do that a lot. I do it all the time. Why would you toss out your good soil? You can just re-amend it, give it a lease of life, and go again for a new season. But personally, I'd advise against using old potting mix to start your new seedlings in. Always remember, guys, a lot of mediums are living. Regardless of whether you use synthetics or organics, they are living organisms that are inside that dirt. They may be super microorganisms and they may vary depending on whether you're in synthetics, organics, or synganics. And any of those things battling against your seedlings, your tap roots growing can cause issues. So just keep that in mind. And also clean your tools, guys. Anything that's used for actually popping the beans, starting them off, and running them from seedling all the way through veg, just make sure you keep them clean. Store them in a nice clean place. Don't store them in the old plant pot with a bunch of dirt and shit in it. And if you're going straight into the soil, you want to make sure you got a potting mix with a good drainage. That will be key. You want water to keep it moist but not soggy. Use pots with good draining holes in the bottom as well. You could always pop a few more holes in there just to make sure things are going real good. Just pop a few more holes in there and everything should work out real nice. Now, but for you, let's be serious, guys. You want to make sure you drain out any of that excess water. That is really important. Now, when you're watering your seedlings, pro tip, guys, use clean, warm water. Anything between 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit works out great. That's great for young seedlings. Cold water, cold water, anything below 50 degrees Fahrenheit can actually slow plant growth and increase the opportunity for infection. So you don't want that to happen. The water temperature also plays a key role. And don't start to feed too early, guys. Don't apply fertilizer to seedlings until they have at least a few nodes or at least several true leaves have developed. When you get a few sets of those leaves that are actually forming, that's when you can come in with like at least quarter strength of your fertilizers. And for the most part, a lot of potting mixes actually contain slow release fertilizers. And if you're in a super soil mix, you probably don't need to worry about that either. Now, I got a couple pro tips for you guys, but before I do, I want to point out the obvious. You want to give your plant at least 16 to 18 hours of light a day. Some people go full 24 hours of light, but I always think it's a good idea to let your plants rest a little. And in that nighttime, that always works out good for the plant to get that chance to just rest and not just be blasted with light 24/7. Now, a lot of beginner growers try to start seedlings off by just putting them in their windowsill. Your seedlings may germinate and go through the seedling stage, but they may also be super leggy and just grow really slow. Grab some grow lights, toss them under some full spectrums, and get shit popping real fast. And for me, I love Mars Hydro's LED grow lights. That's actually all I use. I've been running them for like years now, and they actually give me great results from seedling all the way to harvest. The great thing is that a lot of them have external dimmers, and you can reduce the brightness and increase the brightness. And that way you don't have to worry about seedling burn or light burn during flower. You're good all the way through veg. Mars Hydro's also got full kits, grow tents, carbon filters, lights, exhaust systems, everything, man. They got shit popping, and they always got sales running. They recently celebrated their anniversary. They've been around for such a long time, man. Happy anniversary to Mars Hydro. Check out our seed to harvest video where we broke all that down for you guys and wished them a happy anniversary. But Mars always got the banging sales running. That's one thing about Mars Hydro. Always got banging sales running. And you can use the discount code icanthc on top of sale items and grab a double discount, guys. So definitely check them out. Mars Hydro, hit that discount code icanthc and snag a double discount. Level up your grow room, your seedlings, and your flowering plants will definitely thank you. Now, time for those two pro tips tips, guys, because a lot of people talk about rainwater. Rainwater is great for plants. I have no problem using rainwater at all. But I advise against using rainwater to water your seedlings, simply because it could contain fungal spores. Just think of it, it's rainwater. Oftentimes you collect rainwater from outdoors through all sorts of pipe systems, and everything comes down into one large reservoir or container. Those things can contain fungal spores. Larger plants may be able to deal with it, they can actually thrive with it, but smaller seedlings can find issues with it. Those damping off pathogens may be present. So for me, I'm about that safe rather than sorry life. I'd rather be safe than sorry, so yeah. Now the second pro tip, guys, is actually something I started to do recently. Since I've had this damping off issue, it so often occurred when I was going straight into the medium. For me, I would germinate my beans in a cup of water. I would just add some of that Qualitrips germination booster. Within 24 hours, I got a taproot, and then I go straight into the soil. I like to see the taproot, and I like being able to go straight into the soil and know, okay, I saw the taproot, everything's good. So that's how I know I had no problems with the germination. But after a few days, the seedling would emerge from the soil, but then not go anywhere. That's when I realized there's something going on in that soil. I actually sterilized my soil just to try to avoid that issue. Last seed to harvest episode on the Banana Daddy, I broke all that down. Sterilized my soil in the friggin' oven. But guess what? I still ran into some issues. The Banana Daddy made it, but other plants did. So I got myself some of these. Now these are these little seed starter pellets, and these work fantastic. They're made from cocoa coir, and they are super friggin' amazing. It's a little skinny, compressed, dry pellet. And all you gotta do is drop it in a cup of water and add some water, and it goes from this to this. And this is the guy your girl told you not to worry about. Now the great thing with these is that they're completely sterile. There's nothing in it before. You know that there's no microlife going on in it. It was fully decompressed in a box. It was sitting right there. I fluffed it up by putting it in a glass of water, and I got it nice and fat and big and solid and swollen. Bruh. That's what she said. Okay, stop it, guys. No, but for real, it's a super sterile environment, and I found my success rate increased a lot since I've started to use these. No matter what time of year it is, whether it's winter, whether it's summer, I'm pulling these babies out, and that will get me through the seedling stage like a boss. Now, I'm not sponsored by these pellets. I just really like them. I actually picked them up at the friggin' hardware store. And for all you guys that like to grow autos, you can pop them straight into this, and the seedling will actually grow, and you can just set this into the pot into its final home, and you're good to go. You don't gotta transplant. Perfect hack for all you auto growers out there. Now, all that said, guys, you gotta dial in your air circulation and your humidity, because you can have all these fancy stuff and you can still suffer from that damping off issue. Like I said, the damping off pathogens are super present and they can pop up real quick. High humidity will cause them to come knocking, so you better be careful. If you got a humidity dome with the little knobs on top that you can adjust those. If you don't, set a little crack in your humidity dome, so that way you can get a circulation of fresh air coming in and out, and at least it's not stale air that's just sitting in there, because that is what the fusarium and funguses thrive in. And trust me, guys, I've seen damping off fungus literally existing on the side of these peat pellets, so you're never safe, no matter what. So I hope this video has been helpful, guys. Drop it in the comments down below and let me know if you enjoy seedling stage, if you've ever had this issue. What are your tips and tricks for getting through the seedling stage? Drop it in the comments down below. I'm always interested to find out what you guys gotta say. And like I said, check out that Banana Daddy Seed to Harvest episode. It's banging. And if you want to learn more stuff about growing, check out any video on screen right now, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace, fam.